body, it's the facts we bring, yeah. Whoa, yeah. Whoa, oh. Uncle's thing, tis an uncle's thing. Pull up on the body, it's the facts we bring, yeah. Whoa, yeah. Whoa,
Welcome back to the Uncles, episode 94. Today, I've got a very special guest with me, guys. I've got Phil Onasu. He's a mental health clinician, and we really wanted to bring him on because he's doing some great work in Australia, and we think it can also be transferable back home to Papua New Guinea, especially during times like this where, mental health isn't being highlighted as a big and important issue back home. I think we really need to have this conversation with Phil, who spent a lot of his own time and life going through, education around mental health and studies as well. So Phil, before we get started how are you going?
I'm good, thank you. I'm really good. Looking forward to have a bit of a chat with you, so it's good.
Awesome. And like we always start on the Uncles, we start with the word of the week. So I just thought I'd ask you quickly, what is a word over your last week that you think sums up your word of the week?
Courage. There's a deeper meaning to why I said the word courage, because courage empowers you to be persistent. It allows you to do and go beyond on our limitations. When we see things in a negative perspective, we don't see how far we can go. God has given us a mental capacity to reach out to a far distance. But because we are socially, environmentally, financially, we think we can't do things, we don't see the courage how far we can go. So the courage comes from my own 25 years of journey. So the word courage is always my shield. So I think that if you ask me this question, the word of the word, 10 years ago, I'll still tell you it's courage.
Yeah, wow.
Or if you ask me 10 years from now, I would still tell you courage. So I think that's my word.
Yeah. That's I love that, because that's a really powerful word. And if we reflect back on even the podcast too, we had to have some courage to come out with something like this and reach out to people like you and talk to people like you. So it's a very important word.
Yes. It brings the best out of you.
Definitely.
When you have the courage, you have the willpower to do what you're doing too. You might be doing this in a little cubic room, but you're reaching out hundreds and thousands already. So that's a will of courage, will of power. So it's good.
Yeah.
Good.
No, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Let's get right into it. We always start off the episode with our word of the week, and then we get stuck into where it all began for you. So Phil, where were you born and raised?
Good question. Very interesting. I was born in the 70s. I'm not going to be really specific on what year, but I was born in the 70s in PNG. My dad was a chief back in Southern Islands. That's where I come from. I'm a part of Dutch Arave and Kagua.
Wow.
So I grew up in there as a young fella. Then because dad had many kids, I was basically raised up by the Catholic Church. So I went to the seminary college to be a priest. Wow. Yeah, as a young boy. Finished my high school in 92. So I went down to Medan to study priest. So I was in the seminary. Wow. But long story short, God didn't choose me to be a priest. He had other plans. So finished my seminary college in Medan. I did apply for a law in UPNG, but I had no, my mom and dad were the subsistence farmers. They had no 4,000, 5,000 kina back then for the school fees. So I couldn't afford the fees at the university. So I ended up going to Webeck. I was playing football there. Wow. Yeah. That's the time when Tuksikaru and Raymond Carlin These guys were playing for Quebec Newcks. So I was playing around there. That was in 2001. I ended up coming to Aussie through AusAid scholarship. 2001.
Okay.
I didn't even know where I was going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you want me to continue the study?
Yeah. Well, let's, because there's a few things that I want to unpack there from your childhood. But
Yes.
what are some of the memories that you can think of? What maybe in your younger years when you were growing up back up in the Highlands. What were some of those memories like for you?
I do keep a lot of childhood memories of playing marble, and we used to make a pool table out of woods and collect the marbles, and we used to get a bamboo stick and then like a pool stick, and yeah. That used to be my story of life.
Yeah,
and all stealing old tires and get a tube out, and then we made a slingshot out of it for hunting.
Yeah,
so that was my childhood memories.
Yeah.
On Sundays after the church, we have to go play mud fights, fight in the swamps, young fellas. So those are my childhood memories. I can't forget. It's always at the back of my mind.
Yeah, those are beautiful memories, because we like to talk about them, because those are also big. That's a big part of our life, which really shape us as to where we go and who we are.
That's right.
So I think it's important in highlighting those memories.
Yes, absolutely.
And then for you, through high school, where'd you go to high school, and how was that for you?
Yeah, I went to Mendi High School. My sister's husband was teaching up in Mendi, so I had to go stay with him. So year 7, 8, 9, 10, I finished off in Mendi.
Okay.
So because I was closely connected to the Catholic Church in Kumin, that's in Mendi.
Yeah.
Bishop back then, Bishop Furman, recommended me to go down to Medan for studies.
Okay. And that's when you ended up.
That's how I
in
ended up
Medan.
going.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And then after you find yourself in Madang, as you said, things didn't work out there.
No.
So then you went and you played rugby.
In Wabag.
Yeah, played in Wabag. Like, what was that experience like? Because, I mean, obviously, we talk about it a lot, but, one door closes, another one opens.
Yes.
And then you find yourself down here as well. What was that journey like?
When I was in Wabag, I thought, this is it. This is it. I might just play footy and get old and go back in the village and look after my dad's farm. But that was at the back of my mind. The softer sphere always at the back of my mind said, "Nah, Phil, you gotta go. You gotta go." But I didn't know where I was gonna go. Yeah. But there was a conviction in me that I need to go somewhere. Yeah. So. While I was still playing footy, I was still hunting for potential scholarships and overseas studies at AusAid, New Zealand Aid, Chaika, that's Japan.
Yeah.
I was just still keeping eyes on out.
Wow.
Yeah.
And because that just shows how persistent you are, but also you weren't giving up, and you weren't just happy just being a footy player there. What drove you, and when you finally got the opportunity to come down here, what were your feelings like?
First, I was playing for Royals, Webber Royals, and we had the semi-finals. So I was more like, okay, I'm just gonna be here relaxing. But a week prior, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, the AusAid scholarship used to have an application in the post-career newspapers. They put them inside and then send them all out. Wow. So my elder brother, who's also a footy player, retired now, he's an old fella now, he brought this newspaper and he said, Phil, maybe you just give it a go applying for this application. There was a AusAid funded scholarship.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, fill it in. So I just fill it in.
Yeah.
And then I sent it off. So, because I was told that there are over 1,000 potential applicants to study overseas. You got to be the luckiest one to get in. So, remember I used the word courage before. I had a willpower that if I don't try, then I haven't tried. So I tried. And that's how I got a call that, Phil, you got to go. Go away. You go in Australia. Hello, when? The offer came.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I ended up coming to Australia in 2001.
Yeah. Wow. That's. I like what you said there about if you don't try, then you won't.
Failed. You don't try.
Exactly. What was the experience like for you when you first got here? A lot of the times, especially through my experience as well, coming over here when, we didn't speak too much English.
No.
Pidgin was spoke back home. And then you come here, your accent's a bit different.
Yeah.
People look at you a bit different.
Yeah.
You feel a bit different. So what was that like for you? Because you came over in your 20s.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was 24. I was culture shock. And to be honest, I want to go back. I want to go back home. Because the language, the food, the dressing, I was shocked. So 1 week, I kept myself in my room. I don't want to go nowhere. So we had an AusAid liaison officer who was supporting the new students. She was actually looking for me. I said, "Where's Phil?" I don't want to go to school. So that was on the West End. That was so I didn't want to go. I missed speaking my dialect. I was nobody to speak to. So that was a bit of an avoidance. Yeah. I don't want to go nowhere. That was a bit of a shocker for me. And I remember I went to Woolies. I wanted to buy chuka rice. The chuka rice,
Yeah.
and I didn't know they didn't sell it here. This is embarrassing story, but I gotta put it out.
No, it's you're being honest.
Yeah,
and
I went
it's
to the shop and I asked the shop lady, "Do you guys chuka rice?" I said, "What is that?" He said, "Rice." And nah, I'm sorry, we don't sell that. So I stopped going to the shops. Yeah. So that's a bit of so that's why I was like, no, I gotta go back.
Yeah, we have so many of the same stories like that where it's because, we only know those things from back home.
Limited knowledge.
Yeah.
We're not exposed, so didn't know.
No, we didn't know, and there was, even back then in your time, there wouldn't have been many Papua New Guineans in Brisbane, whereas now there's
too many, way too many.
Yeah,
way too many.
So yeah, it really is important, and there are a lot of struggles, especially when you do come down by yourself, and you may feel like you're all alone and on your own, but there are people out there, and there are people you can reach out to.
That's
and
right.
I think it all comes back to your word
That's
of
right.
courage.
You gotta have the courage.
Got to have the courage to reach out to someone,
Yes.
to ask questions.
Yeah.
I remember when I first got here, I didn't want to ask questions because I was scared about how people would see me, or
Yeah.
they might
That
go,
was me
"Why are
too.
you asking?"
That was me too.
Yeah.
I don't want to pronounce a word wrongly,
Yes.
but I have to have the courage to do it.
Yes.
Because
Exactly.
if you don't ask, you don't learn.
You won't know. You'll never know. So how was university life here in Australia for you?
It was good because I was doing the criminal justice studies. But the first couple of months was a bit daunting. Sadly, I was not computer savvy. I was only trained to write on a blackboard, boards and a piece of paper. Computers was something I was also learning too.
Yeah.
So this is like 25 years ago. Things have changed massively nowadays. But as I said, I persisted to learn. I observed people how other people were using the computers. So I learned. Yeah. It's a good thing that back in a seminary in Medan, we were trained to use the typewriters.
Wow.
typewriters.
Yeah.
So I was really good in typing,
Yeah.
but it was the navigating.
Okay.
That was only a challenge. But I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, it's still a hard thing for people back home.
Oh, yeah.
Like my parents call me up all the time and
Yeah.
they say, "Oh, son, can you help me with this? I don't know what this." And I'm just like, okay, just copy and paste to your folder, mom.
Yeah, I know. It's now you can use AI to type it for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now.
It's unreal what's
Yeah.
out there at the moment. But how? So going through university and obviously you started criminal justice, but how did you find, or when did you sort of understand that no, my direction's going to be in the mental health space?
Yes. I started to realize in my third or fourth year, and actually third year, because on the weekends, I was going up to the valley. And I was actually helping the homeless people. I used to buy McDonald's in the family meals.
Wow.
I used to buy McDonald's and feed them the homeless people up there. Yeah. I used to go to South Bank and buy food for the homeless people. Back then, I was dating my ex-wife now. She actually told me that maybe you're not meant to study criminal law, Phil. Maybe you're meant to do like community services or a social work or a mental health or psych or something. So why you say that? Because every weekend you go in to help these homeless people. So that was my wow moment. So that's when I stopped doing my criminal justice studies. Yeah.
Wow, that's definitely I guess a turning point. And
Yes.
And then from there, what happened after that?
Yes, it's just but I still managed to finish up my justice degree.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't want to work in that space. So, long story short, because I was on a student visa, my study came to end, so I had to go back to PNG for 1 year or 2 years.
Yeah.
So 1 year I was in PNG, then I got another scholarship to go to New Zealand this time. So I went to study my sociology and anthropology in New Zealand. So I went to do my degree there.
Yeah.
So because I wanted to work with people. So the only course that was offered for a scholarship to go to New Zealand was anthropology. So I went down to New Zealand, 6 years studied anthropology.
Wow.
Then anthropology/human services.
Okay.
So I got my degree in Otago University in New Zealand.
Wow.
So I took my now ex down to New Zealand. We all went down to New Zealand.
Yeah.
So 6 years in New Zealand, we came back.
6 years. What was that experience like over
Cold,
in New Zealand?
Very, very cold.
Because Otago's Dunedin?
Yeah, Dunedin.
Yeah.
Dunedin, Otago University, it's -5 degrees, something like that. It was very cold. Sometimes it was
Jeez.
lower. 18 degrees, that's hot. Yeah.
And that's Brisbane winter.
Yeah, that's Brisbane winter. So, but we loved it.
Yeah.
We loved it. So I came back to Brisbane 2010, and I went to do my master's degree in Southern Cross Uni.
Wow.
That's when I started specializing in mental health.
Yes.
I knew then that, okay, mental health is my area.
Yes.
So even in New Zealand, I was still helping homeless people. Yeah. So I was called to do that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing what you did there in those early days, and obviously what you do now. But I think, you know, the biggest thing, and what I was so sort of intrigued about, you know, having this chat with you is that mental health is really a big thing at the moment, and you know, it never used to be. Now, back in those days, no one really understood it, but in this day and age where there's so much going on in the world, so many people coming into the world, you got social media, you got phones, you got devices, so many different distractions. You know, how important is your mental health?
Regardless of whether you work in a whether you're a lawyer or whether you are in human resources or whether you're in the media, as you are aware, Australia plays a huge role in ensuring people's mental health are taken care of. We should be also feeling that my mental health is important. In the PNG context, respectfully, we don't talk much about it. We really don't. Workplace stress, the burnout, the vicarious trauma, a lot's going on. But either we don't prioritize or we are not informed. Regardless of which angle you're looking at it, we don't talk much about it. I remember when I went back to PNG, my mom asked me, "What you do, son?" So I was trying to find a word that would make sense for her to understand. Because I can't use the word mental health because she doesn't know. She wouldn't know. So I had to use my language to explain what it meant. So just imagine when you talk about schizophrenia, bipolar, PTSD in PNG, what is that? We use negative words. It comes with a negative. Mental health comes with a negative connotation. And that's the failure. We should not.
No.
We should not. We should not use somebody who has a mental health problems as a bad person. The person in itself is not a bad. It is what it is facing. So we lack education. We lack informed. We don't have informed, trained, highly experienced people to help us.
I agree with you there, and look, I look at my own experiences growing up, and when I spoke to, we had Aiden Toa on, who was a professional rugby union star with the Queensland Reds, and a lot of what we were talking about was, along the lines of mental health, because like him, my story, we both played rugby union together, and we had lots of injuries, and then when we had those injuries, you start to sort of get into this victim mindset of blaming others. Oh, why are they getting this contract? Why am I getting this injury? And then you go down a really bad path of drinking and doing drugs and doing the wrong things and blaming yourself. And that in itself, I only came to understand that after I started actually talking to a counselor. And it wasn't even just speaking to a counselor, but for me to air or speak about my thoughts openly and putting it out there, it enabled me to sort of understand why I was feeling that way. And I feel that's not a big thing back home.
No.
I think a lot of men are scared to tell people their feelings because of they might, be looked down upon.
Yes, the cultural way of looking at things, we normalize it. What do I mean by that is, if you come to me, let's just say you were in Morocco and you come to me, "Hey Phil, I'm really blooded down." I might probably say, "Let's go buy a 6." Because it's not something you don't know better off how to deal with it. You don't know the best way to deal with stress or anxiety. So that you only know how to socialize out there. But the people you're socializing with are not mental health informed people, so they can't support you. That's why here, Australia, it's priority number one. If you're at the workplace, you got a stress, there's support. They call the Employee Assistance Program, or EAPs, where you can reach out. I don't know whether we have that in PNG, but we don't talk much about it. And that's the downfall of it. It's not that if we have been told and if we are educated and if we are, it's a policy-based driven, if they provide those sort of things at workplace and they're empowered by the management that if somebody's going down, please reach out to talk to a professional. We don't have that system. I'm not sure, 25 years now I'm in Australia, so if we have it, that's good. If we don't have it, that's where we fail. That's where we fail. So it's like this sort of thing that you're doing brings out there. You know what I mean? If I go to Port Moresby now, and if I say you do have a PTSD, he or she wouldn't even know what the heck I'm talking about until they are informed what it means.
Yeah.
If I talk about burnout, what is burnout? What is vicarious trauma? Vicarious trauma is you absorbing someone else's stress, someone else's trauma, someone else's problems.
Yeah.
And you are not trained, so you sitting there listening to all my problems.
Yeah.
What's happening is impacting you too. You're not trained to listen to my problems. So like me, 15, 16 years in this space, so I know how to find it out.
Yeah.
So I can hear people's traumas. But in PNG, we don't have that system.
That's a very interesting point, because when you said that trauma there, something that just popped into my head is like something like a house cry.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, that going on for days, and even just as a young kid, you going through these things and probably just from my own experiences, not understanding what the house cry is, but you see lots of crying and people are sad and down, and, you know, just hearing what you said there, as a kid, you would get some of that trauma too.
Oh, yes. We do have traumas. I've done a 6 years research in the PNG mental health. We are far worse, respectively, PNG, we are far worse damaged than we think we see. We need government interventions, we need professionals to re-educate, retrain. We cannot say, oh, we don't know what mental health in the PNG. Mental health happens to everybody.
Yeah.
Whether you're a black or you're Chinese or you're a white fellow, regardless of who you are, so long as you are a human, so long as you have emotions, so long as you have feelings, you are impacted. So just look at what's happening. We don't know better of it. So my area is mental health and domestic and family violence.
Okay.
Those two big areas for me. I spent 6 years with working in prisons.
Wow.
So I said they're cousin brothers, mental health and domestic violence, family violence. They go side by side. You have mental health problems, you don't know better of it. If you're stressed, if you're upset, if you're depressed, how you regulate it. Anger comes in, fear comes in. When you come home, what happens? You abuse the family, pounds the work meets down. Because it's not that you want to do it. You just not have been told the better way to deal with it.
I think that's a great point, because I always think about this, and now my partner now, she works for the Department of Justice, and they do a lot of different programs for domestic family violence. But sometimes I reflect on, you know, growing up in PNG and just seeing domestic violence out in the open, and how that can affect your brain as a young kid.
Yes.
Even though you might not, obviously your first look at it is, oh, that's terrible, hopefully your parents are saying, don't do that. But it is still, you visualizing it and seeing it wouldn't be the best thing for your own mental health as well.
Yes. See, this is what happens. Let's just say you witness a car accident and somebody got smashed and blood spewing everywhere, bodies everywhere. What we do in PNG context, we try to go get a video of it, and we record it, and we've seen it, we were observing it. That's okay. It's not going to impact in you that very moment, but it's the later down the track. That's what I meant by the vicarious trauma. You've been exposed to traumatic situations, but you just didn't know that it's coming to attack you at some point in life.
Yeah.
So when you've been exposed to trauma as a child, you were witnessing mom being beaten up by your dad, you've seen it. We grew up knowing, okay, maybe we normalize it, right? So when we grow older, our consciousness is on a default. It's default mode. It's our thinking, oh yeah, that used to do this. So it's not okay, but because we've been in a default mode, we normalize it. It's happening, so we just condone it, which should not be happening.
Yeah.
And that's it's what we call intergenerational issues. Fathers learn from their fathers, kids learn from fathers, kids pass on to the children. So That's why we feel like, oh yeah, it's culture. It's not culture. It's a normal. We normalize it. We should not be normalizing it. So we don't know what is domestic violence. We don't know what is abuse. We whack a kid in the back. Is it normal? Is it okay to do that? Or what is it? What is the difference? We really don't know. We need an expert in the PNG to help the next generation.
Yeah.
Because if we don't change it, my brother, I can tell you right now, we're never going to change.
Exactly. And I like that word you used there, that intergenerational
Yes.
knowledge and understanding of these things. Because I think now we have an opportunity to, enter into this generation and start to, openly speak about these things.
Yes.
I know there are lots of people back home that are already openly speaking about things like this. So there are some people doing good work, but I think it's important in, like you said, changing those cultural norms, because it's not okay to hit your partner.
No,
it's not okay to come home drunk and do that in front of your kids. All of those things are terrible, and we don't condone any of those things.
No.
But what needs to happen is, like you said, people aren't informed.
No.
So we need to change the way that they think about things, because those things aren't right. They aren't okay.
We need to change the narrative. We need to change how we speak. My background, my focus is around changing the consciousness, the thinking, the emotions. That's my head. I focus on the last 10 years and how to understand people's emotions. Let's put it this way. We go to the kitchen because our tummy tells us we're hungry. It's not the stomach. It's actually not the stomach telling us. It's the mind. It's the mind telling you are feeling hungry. So they triggers our stomach, so we go to the kitchen.
Yeah.
Right? Men abuse the woman not because they're pissed off. That something's not right with them.
Yeah.
They've learned. They've learned the fathers doing that to the mothers. They've seen it happen around in the community. So it's a divorce. It's not because they just don't know how to manage the emotions. We do have, one is the primary emotion. Primary emotion is what comes in very quickly when something happens. When you lose your phone, when you drop your phone, what's your primary emotion? What comes in first? That's your dominant primary emotion. The secondary emotion is the behavioral one. Makes sense? You drop your phone, what you do? What do you say?
Yeah.
And then the secondary
Yeah.
See, we need to know that. We need to know there's two primary and the secondary emotions, how to regulate. When it comes with the mental health and domestic violence, we as a man are the ones need to make sure that we know of those two primary and secondary emotions to be a better father to the generations we want. Your children. But your children need to carry on teaching their children. We need to be the icebreakers, the fathers. We need to be the food stuff. We need to be the ones that say, this is it. This is it.
Yeah.
Now we cannot have an excuse. Technology is everywhere. We can access YouTube. You go to the phone and type in mental health on YouTube and you get hundreds. So we cannot say we don't know how to do it. We just need to do it. That's why I said, if you care for someone, if you care for your children or your wife or your husband or your family, your society, your community, have the courage to have the audacity to use your phone, to Google it, search what is mental health, search what's domestic violence, and learn it. English was my third language, not my first. I had the courage to learn my way that I want to. That's why I can stand in front of people to speak, hundreds of people in the auditorium. So it comes back to you and I knowing that we need to preach. We need to. This is it. This is it.
Yeah.
What you're doing, this is the key of it. You might not be able to reach out many people, but there are people watching, like me coming on your show to talk about these things. So you are impacting people out there, so you got to be proud of that.
Yeah, thank you.
Because one day they'll come and I used to watch your show, That's what you want to hear. So me coming on here, 1-2 people would reach out. I know some women, victims of domestic violence, have reached out to me on Facebook for me to advise them. And I have. There's hundreds of. I've saved a lot of people up in Townsville and the Cairns of mothers not going back to PNG. I helped them to stay back, to put the fathers back to PNG. So it's the courage and the willpower you must have to what is right. Like these little things you're doing.
Yeah.
So don't ever think that you're not helping people. You are helping people.
No, thank you so much. And look, with the work you're doing here, so look, give people a little rundown or insight into your own business and how you help people here.
Sure. Okay. When I finished my master's degree I specialized in mental health, I was clinically supervised by a psychologist for me to get my Medicare. So once I got my Medicare, I started my practice last year. Yeah. So I see 12 people a day.
Wow.
That's over my limit.
Yeah.
I can only see 8, but they're so highly demanding. So I see 12 a day. So I see around 40 to 50 a week. That's a lot.
That is. Yeah.
Just put in a PNG context. How many people would need those sort of professions? Yeah. So I do Monday, Tuesdays, and Saturdays.
Yep.
I do my own work.
Nice.
Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, I work with the Defense Force, or ADF. So I'm also subcontracted by the Defense to do this sort of work. So I go to Inokra.
Base there?
Base, the Gallipoli Barracks. Yeah, that's where I go work for them. Wow. So it's my area that I want to spend time working, and it's an expertise, an area that I want to expose myself in, and I've been doing it for the 16 years now. Yeah. So 6 years I work in the prison, trying to rehabilitate perpetrators, male. I'm talking about chronic drug users. I profile criminals because I'm a very strong believer that as an individual, as a man, as a woman, it's not the problem. It is the behaviors they are entangled themselves in with. The problem is the problem. See, when the society sees a man as a problem, the man already on a default mode, I'm a bad man. But if you separate the man from a problem and say, man, you're not the problem. The problem is the problem. We got to deal with the problem. Then you're creating a leeway for him to see that, okay, I'm not the problem. Yeah. So we need to have that sort of mindset. We need to have that conversation even in PNG too. And that's the way I work. When the perpetrator comes to see me, I say, you're not the problem. I was told I'm a bad man. Not really. So you get what I mean? So you reduce the emotional feelings they attach with. When somebody sees they're a bad person, they grow up knowing they're bad people, bad person. So they have no way to even re-educate their children. Yeah. He doesn't know unless you re-educate, re-evaluate, talk about things. PTSD, post-trauma, very high in where I work. It's a trauma that comes with. We talk about trauma. It's a space of challenging, but that's where I progress well. I do well. I work in a way that's a high demand of stress. And this sort of thing is good because I can come talk about it.
Yeah.
So it's good.
And so you said there's, you see quite a few different people that come into you, and you're also working with the Defence Force. How important is it for you to, find your own balance as well? Because I think juggling all of that and, also advising, it can be challenging for yourself. So how do you find the balance in what you do?
See, I said earlier on, I used the word vicarious trauma, and week in, week out, I can absorb a lot of trauma from other people. That can also impact me. So what I do is I go home, I bought myself a home gym. Nice. So I go home, go put my sneakers on, do my exercise. It's important to do self-care is very important. Another thing I do is, I don't know how other people do, but for me, I take my shoes off and I walk barefoot on the concrete or the grass. I need to bring myself back. I need to feel the wetness and the roughness of concrete, because that's one way to regulate the emotion. You need to, because you're exposing to a situation, a lot of people are talking about trauma. You are also emotionally half-heighted. You are also traumatized. So the only way you can bring it back is doing an exercise and activities or whatever that makes you feel good to do it. For me, my gym, I sweat it out. I walk barefoot around. I go to the shops barefoot. And my son's telling me, Dad, it's embarrassing, put a shoe on. But that's the reason why I go barefoot. Yeah. You know what I mean? I want to bring myself back. Woodridge it's a Pacific Island community. Yeah. So a lot of islander people. So, but regardless what they think of you, I go barefoot. Because that's just one way of me connecting myself back to where I belong. Yeah. And that's how I look after myself. And I do watch some comedy movies, like Jim Carrey movies.
You have to. Yeah.
I have to watch movies. I have to laugh.
Yes.
I have to laugh. And then I turn my work phone off. I can't, and the work phone must not be in front of me. Yeah. In the car. Yeah. Because you have to be home.
Yeah, I think it's very important to do other things that will bring you happiness.
Oh yes.
And a big thing for me is fitness and exercise, and I like what you said. You got your home gym, but if you don't do those things that you can, because being active and exercising also is a way for you to push, say, anger or energy out into a different way.
That's right.
And because I used to do that a lot with rugby, where I would try and push all my anger into the physical sport of rugby, that's where you could release and let it go. Yes. But now not having that anymore, you need to sort of find it in a different space, and that's, for me now, it's running or exercising. So good. I feel like it's, for people out there that aren't doing that, you need to find something like that.
They have to find something. And one thing about PNG is they work long hours. Or there is no structure when they should be having a timeout. I'm not quite sure how they work, but long hours, they don't go home. They go straight to the pub or they go to the poker room. That's the only way they know how to. Friday comes, everybody looking for a Friday. And when a Friday comes, they got the money, they go, look, I don't blame them. It's just that they have not been told the better way to deal with it. And what happens when men do that, it doesn't solve the problem. It actually exacerbates the problem. Yeah. They might find pleasure for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. That problem might work, but it doesn't. Financial stress, because you just blew up the money for the family money. You got no money. What do? You go borrow money. You know what I mean? There's no food at home. The kids go around. What happens to the mama? The mama goes out looking for money. However, she's going to find the money. She's got to sustain the family. Then what happens? She entangles herself in situations where the husband's not unhappy. So the husband comes on and beat her out. Yeah. It's just that we have to be better at it. We have to be. We have to be better at it. And that comes back to how are we looking out ourselves. We have to be the primary carers for our children. They're watching. See, research tells us that we can be sitting here and telling a kid not to do it 100 times. It's going to still do it. Because they follow what we do. They will behave like what we did. They may not listen to you. They may listen to you, but statistically, they will behave like us. If we're alcoholics, we drink a lot, they grow up, first day, what they do, they go buy beer. Because they've seen the fathers doing it. The mothers doing it. Yeah. If mother and father chewing build nut, they're already chewing build nut. Yeah. That's what I mean. So, yeah. It's a challenging, but we have to be better at it.
Yeah.
If we say, oh no, it's too much, the PNG, the crime and mental health is too much, we can't fix it, we can't deal with it, it's beyond. See, that's what I mean. That's where we're wrong. Where is the courage coming in? When can we do it? We can still do it, but we just have to do it. We can't just sit around and talk about it. We can do it, but it requires a man with ambition. It requires a man who sends us people to do it. Look, I can sit here and talk for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
But I'll let you ask for the questions.
No,
Yeah.
that leads me to my last question, and there's been honestly so many gems throughout this episode, and I've really enjoyed talking with you, and I'm sure this isn't going to be the last time that we have this conversation, because I definitely want to get you on again.
Invite me back
to go dive deeper into some of those topics. But to finish off, what sort of advice would you give to the younger generation that's coming through?
Two things I can talk about younger generation in PNG. One, first that comes to my mind is that I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I thought life was done, was finished. I was going to be a footballer, stay home, do nothing, get married to some woman and stay back in the village. That's where we're wrong. That's where we're going to be wrong. God has given us an ability to explore and use what we have. The cerebral capability. We have a 100% mental capability to explore things that we cannot reach out. It's up to us to do it. So my advice to people back home, and if you're from Southern Islands, I used to work from Kagua to Mendi. It's a distance you might not recognize, but it's a distance of walking. To go to Mendi town to print a paper, my CV, on a barefoot, on a windy, dusty road. Back then, the roads were not sealed. Now they're sealed. It's good. Back then, it's a gravel road. So when a car comes, the dust is like so much. So young fella, you listen to me, you have to have courage and willpower to do it. If your mind tells you that there's something you really want to do it, explore that. You got to find out what it is that you want to do. Then you will do it. Those ones who in the Moxby, you finish the studies, God has given you willpower, creative, do something. If you apply for 100 jobs and you didn't get a job, God has given you the brain. Be creative. Social media is out there. Technology is everywhere. Internet is everywhere. So use and be creative. Online business, do something. So for me, I started my practice. I've started another company, which is a charity, and I'm supplying hospital equipment to PNG. That's why I said to you in the beginning that I was in Manus, because I'm sending 4 containers to PNG, to Manus, hospital equipment. Okay. I started myself from scratch. It was based on my, maybe I need to help PNG another way. So because of the research I've done on hospital equipment and whatnot, I've reached out my contacts in Brisbane. So I'm very politically connected to the Queensland government.
Yep.
So they're willing to help me with a few things. So the 4 containers going to Manus, 2 gonna go down to Medan, and 2 gonna go up to New Island.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's my advice to you. You have to believe in the willpower, the courage. You must believe in God. If you don't, please believe Him, and He will show you where you need to go. The source of every desire and dreams and goals and our ambition is God Himself, nobody else. So you reach out to Him and you do it. PNG has some money. We are rich in resources. I was in New Zealand and one farmer told me, he said, "You're a rich man." I'm not a rich man. I said, the reason I'm saying is because you have your land. You have your land. That's why you're a rich man. Use your land. See, whoever listening, you go back to roots. Use your land. That's where the money is. And something where young generations who grew up in the cities, they're used to the mobile phones and on the street chewing betel nut. And this sort of advice will be how to take it in, but you got to do it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Phil. This has been a really great chat, and I know a lot of our listeners, people that watch in on the Uncles, they're really going to take a lot out of this conversation, which is why what I said before, we'd really love to get you back into, dive deeper into some of those issues that we discussed earlier, because I think it's really an important time, and we're big advocates on the Uncles for mental health and the well-being of our people and communities around here. So just from myself and the Uncles, thank you so much for your time and coming in today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Maybe next time when you invite me, we break it up. I'll be more specific on the domestic violence.
Yes.
Maybe one, and then mental health, another one. So today's more of like
get to know you.
Get to know. That's right. That's right. So, it's my passionate area around this.
Yes.
And I've always looking for an opportunity like yours.
Yes.
To come on and do something like this. So that if I can reach out to 2 or 3 people, that's good enough.
Yeah.
That's good enough. So thank you for inviting me.